Hi guys, so in today's video we are going to talk about exception handling or error handling as we usually used to call it. And uh, basically when you use exception handling or error handling, you are trying to like handle errors that you do not like you don't think they are going to happen, or you're not expecting them to happen, or errors that you don't know if they are going to happen, but you just put it there in case something is going to happen, in case something is going to break. You just use error handling or exception handling to handle things like that so that your app does not just break and leave your user wondering what's actually like going on. So today I'm going to be using the bank console app that you guys were given in one of your previous tasks when you were told to do something with the classes. And so this is just a class of bank, and it has these three fields, these three parameters: account name, there's a string; account number, there's a string; then account balance, there's a double. Then it also has a constructor, which is this here. Then it has a function that displays the user's account balance. That's this function here. Then it has a function for you to perform deposit, which is this. But you will notice that this function actually like changed it, or I did something different in it. So you notice that I'm taking inputs from the user with this, and before after that I'm using this try block. And you use try, we call it the try catch block. There's try catch finally in that. So you use try to actually try what you want to do, then use catch to catch any exceptions that's going to occur if the try doesn't work. The finally is how you conclude and say, okay, if everything has happened, okay, if it has tried, it failed, and it has caught an error, then sometimes you can just put the finally there so that it actually like sees finally and says, okay, okay, I should just do this since this is the last thing the person said, since this is the last thing I was told to do. That's what the how the computer is going to say. So here, well, we have this try block, and inside the try block we have an if is numeric. And this particular function here, what it does is to check if this string that the user has imputed here is actually going to be, if this string could actually be converted to a number. And I'm going to show you the function. That's this function here, this particular function. The function actually like returns a bool. So anything this is going to return will either be true or false. So that's why the if statement just checks if this is true. The if statement just checks if this is numeric. And if if it is numeric, then it will actually like go into this code, then it will convert it to a double here. Then we can now perform the operation where you actually increase the user's account balance. Then it returns to the user that money has been deposited successfully. But we have the else block here. And in the else block, you could actually like just return this particular thing that you're saying here. Like this particular stuff you're saying here. You could just return it to the user, but rather than do that, I chose to use error handling. Like this is how you actually like handle errors. You throw them technically you just say, oh, we are trying to throw this exception. So once this is not a number, we actually like throw an exception and tell the user that the string you pass cannot be converted to a number. And that's what this function is doing. This function checks it, and if it is going to be a number, then it allows it, and it returns true. If it's not going to be a number, it returns false. So this function will just check for true. This function here is going to check for true or false. If it is true, it does this. If it is not, it throws this exception. And this failure here is just a simple class that I built. So the class just has a string of message with its constructor, and I had to override it to string method to actually like return the message, which is actually the string. That is this string message. It's going to just return this to the user. So I think I'll just have to demo it to actually like show you what it looks like when you're actually like trying to handle errors, and we are going to see how this function is actually like behaving. So I'm going to try. Okay, so to be able to use the function, okay, to be able to use error handling, uh, first of all, you actually have to try like here we've already tried this. Then to be able to actually like catch those exceptions in the place where we're actually calling those functions, we use a try and we also use a catch. But this time around, you notice that here I did try and I just did a catch and it just did this, or I just did a throw. But notice here I did a catch. If I did try and I did on failure and I did catch, and I told it to catch this failure and it should print the failure that it actually like catches. So we try, then we try to make a withdrawal. If we actually get an exception, it just goes to this next block and it just says, okay, print what the failure is. And we are going to see that now. So if I try to run this program, and note the name of the program is actually the name of the file where I've written this program is error handling.dat. And here we just save this and we have that error handling.dat. And so if you click on enter, you see it's going to tell you how much do you want to withdraw. And if I say $300, it actually like tells me the account balance is 700, meaning that it's actually like working. It came down here and this checked if it is numeric, and once it was sure that it is going to be a number, it did the next thing. So now we are going to try it without using a proper number. Let's say 56678, then we do f something something, and to then press enter. You see the string you pass cannot be converted to a number, and that's what this function is actually like checking, and it has thrown this exception for us. And because of we are catching the failure like on failure. If it's on the failure class itself, on the failure object, we should catch what the failure actually is. That's what this is going to do for us. And if you decide, okay, you don't want to actually like print it, because yeah, definitely when you're actually working on a bigger project, you're going to want to do a different thing with what the failure is, because you might want to render this failure to the user. And when we are going to make API calls, I'm going to show you how to actually like render a failure or an error to the user in the UI. So if we just go ahead and say we should throw this again, we should throw the message. We can just do throw message. Throw is just like a return, but not a good type of return message. So no, we're actually throwing failure. Sorry, we're throwing the failure, and you're going to see it's actually going to do something weird. So if I do 500 and I add in all this, you just see it prints out the exception here, but you notice it tells you it's an unhandled exception, meaning we didn't handle the exception properly. But it tells you what the exception is and it tells you where it's actually happening. So if I click on this now, you see it's telling me that this is where the exception happened. So like now I've printed this out, but on a good day you want to actually show the user that, oh, this is actually the exception that has happened. And okay, we did withdraw. I think we should try using deposit now, and we're going to just see practically the same thing. Oh, sorry, we're going to remove that. Then we can do something like this now. Then we can deposit say 300, or we cannot deposit. Okay, if we call the function again, we can deposit for something like this. We can't. This string you pass this not cannot be converted to a number. That's how you throw exceptions, and that's how you catch exceptions, and that's how you handle errors that you're not expecting. And another thing you would say, oh, but we've been using if statements. And though this here is actually not good, but I just said I should just do it to show you that it's possible to do it. But when you use if else statement is when you actually show off the exceptions that you're going to be getting. So you know that if this doesn't work, then this should actually be what you should tell the user. But when you're actually handling errors, you don't know what's going to happen. So they're just like something to break your fall. If the app is going to break, then they are going to actually like catch the apps falling. Catch the apps fall when it's actually break the apps for fall when it's actually like crashness. So once you have your exception, when you have your error handling in here, when you have proper error handling, your app is actually going to run smoothly, and it will almost be as if your app is flawless to an extent, because that's what it's just there to do. It's there to just make sure that things are not breaking, or if things are breaking, it can actually like tell the user what is actually like breaking within your app. Thank you.